She promised me forever. Then I caught her cheating with a random stranger. So I exposed her to everyone, blocked her everywhere, now she's the one begging. I'm Kai, 32, and I design wind turbines for a living. Not the kind job at parties, but I literally harness invisible forces to power cities. Should have seen the invisible forces in my own house. 3 years ago, I met Emma at this sustainability conference in the convention center. I was presenting on offshore wind optimization, thrilling stuff, I know, when I spotted her in the third row, sketching in this leather journal. Not taking notes. Actually drawing. While everyone else was fighting to stay awake through my Reynolds number calculations, she was illustrating the flowering vines growing up the conference room pillars. She was a botanical illustrator for the Whitmore Conservatory. You know, those people who make plants look like art? That was Emma. 29 years old, auburn hair always twisted up with a pencil through it, fingers perpetually stained with ink. She could make a dying succulent look like it belonged in the Louvre. We clicked immediately. She got my engineering brain, I got her artistic soul. Sounds like rom-com garbage, but it worked. She'd sketch turbine blade designs while I calculated optimal soil pH for her greenhouse projects. We moved in together last year, bought this Victorian townhouse that needed everything fixed. I installed solar panels on the roof while she turned the backyard into something out of a fairy tale. We had plans, real ones. Not just let's see where this goes but actual blueprints. Joint savings account labeled wedding/house/future. Her grandmother's sapphire ring hidden in my sock drawer, she didn't know, but she dropped enough hints. We'd even picked names for kids we didn't have yet, Oliver if it was a boy, Luna for a girl. I installed those warm LED strips under our kitchen cabinets last month because she said it would make winter mornings feel less harsh when we had babies. God, I was deep in it. The changes started small. October rolled around and suddenly the conservatory needed her for evening installations. Made sense at first, they were launching this massive indigenous plants exhibit. Emma was lead illustrator, big career moment. I supported it. Made her protein smoothies for the long nights, picked up her dry cleaning when she couldn't. But then the pattern got weird. Phone face down at dinner. Never used to do that. Shower running longer because she was washing off the day. We have tankless hot water, I see the usage data on my app. 37-minute showers aren't about washing off anything. Quick grabs when her phone buzzed. That little flinch when I'd walk up behind her while she was texting. Conservatory emergency, she said last Tuesday, grabbing her jacket at 8 p.m. New shipment of specimens came in damaged. Need to document them before they deteriorate more. Want me to come help? I offered. I can hold lights or... No, babe, it's fine. Boring plant stuff. I'll be back late, don't wait up. Kiss on my forehead. Door closed. Car engine fading down our street. Here's the thing about dating an engineer, we troubleshoot for a living. Something feels off? Check the data. So when my gut started sending error messages, I didn't ignore them. But I also didn't confront. Not yet. You don't tear apart a machine until you know exactly what's broken. Tonight, she said there was a botanical conference downtown. Big networking thing for conservatory staff. Made sense, except she'd never mentioned it before today. And she wore this dress, the green one with the low back that she bought for my company's summer gala. You look incredible, I said, meaning it. It's just networking, she laughed, but her hand went to her necklace. That tell she has when she's nervous. Probably be boring. You know how plant people are. I did know. They wore Patagonia and hiking boots to everything. Not cocktail dresses. After she left, I tried to focus on turbine load calculations for the new project. Couldn't concentrate. That gut feeling turned into full alarm bells when I realized she'd forgotten her conference badge on the hall table. The one she'd specifically said she needed. I drove downtown to bring it to her. That's what good boyfriends do, right? Except the conference center was dark. No cars in the lot. But her silver Honda was parked outside Meridian, that upscale bar on 5th Street. I pulled across the street, destroyed my engine, and waited. 20 minutes later, Emma walked out laughing. With someone who definitely wasn't talking about plants. The guy had his hand on her lower back. That specific spot where she gets knots from hunching over her illustration desk. The spot I massage every Sunday while we watch nature documentaries. They stood under the bar's neon sign, bathed in blue light. Him, tall, lean, man bun, carrying one of those vintage camera bags that screams I shoot film because digital has no soul. Her, laughing at something he said, head thrown back, that laugh she usually saved for my terrible engineering puns. I sat in my car, hands steady on the wheel, watching them walk to her Honda. She fumbled with her keys, she'd had drinks. He took them from her, their fingers brushing longer than necessary. Then he walked around to the passenger side and got in. My gut said follow. My brain said document. I started my engine and stayed 3 cars back as she drove through downtown. Not toward home. Not toward the conservatory. She took Route 47 heading east, toward the industrial district. Nothing botanical out there except weeds growing through abandoned parking lots. 17 minutes later, she pulled into the Starlight Motor Lodge. One of those places with hourly rates and a brokens in the sign so it read Tarlight. She parked near room 237. They got out. He grabbed a bottle of wine from her back seat, the Malbec I'd brought back from my Argentina wind farm inspection. I parked across the lot behind a delivery truck and grabbed my drone from the trunk. The same one I use for turbine blade inspections. 4K camera, thermal imaging, 45-minute flight time. I launched it from behind the truck, keeping it high enough to avoid the light pollution. They didn't go straight into the room. They stood at the door, her pressed against it, his hands on either side of her head. Making out like teenagers while she struggled with the key card. I recorded everything. Timestamps. GPS coordinates. The way she pulled him inside by his shirt. The door slamming shut. 47 minutes. That's how long I sat in my car, drone hovering on autopilot, recording that closed door. 47 minutes of calculating exactly how many lies this represented. Every late night at work. Every too tired tonight, babe. Every future we'd planned that was currently being destroyed in a motel room that probably didn't even have clean sheets. The door opened. She came out first, adjusting her dress. Her hair was different, messy in that specific way. She was wearing the earrings I'd given her for our anniversary. The jade drops I'd found at that antique shop in Burlington because they matched her eyes. Man bun followed, shirt untucked, checking his phone. They kissed again. Not passionate anymore, just casual. Familiar. This wasn't their first time. I brought the drone back, packed it up, and followed them back to the bar. She dropped him at his car, a beaten-up Subaru with a support local artist bumper sticker. More kissing. More promises I couldn't hear but could read in their body language. After he drove off, I watched her sit in her car for 5 minutes, probably cleaning herself up. Then she headed home. I gave her a 20-minute head start. When I got home, she was already in the shower. Her dress was in the hamper, not hung up like she usually would. Her phone was charging on her nightstand, face down. Hey babe, she called out. How was your night? Productive, I said, downloading the drone footage to my encrypted drive. Got a lot of work done. She came out in my old MIT hoodie, hair wrapped in a towel, looking exactly like the woman I'd fallen in love with. Kissed me on the cheek. Smelled wrong, not her conservatory smell of earth and plants. Something synthetic. His cologne. Conference was boring, she said, climbing into bed. You didn't miss anything. I figured, I said, saving the files to 3 different backups. Plant people, right? She laughed, scrolled through her phone for a minute, then clicked it off. Love you. Yeah, I said, watching her earrings on the nightstand. The jade ones. Get some sleep. Within minutes, her breathing went steady. I sat in the dark, laptop screen casting shadows on the wall, and started my research. His name was Bryce Hoffman. And according to the conservatory's Instagram, he'd been photographing Emma's botanical illustrations for the past 4 months. 4 months. While I was calculating wind resistance coefficients, they'd been working side by side. Every urgent deadline started making sense. The conservatory's Instagram told the whole story if you knew how to look. Bryce behind Emma as she sketched. Emma laughing at something off camera, posted by Bryce. Their hands in the same frame, accidentally. I closed the laptop and made coffee. 3:47 a.m. Emma slept like nothing had changed. I sat at our kitchen table under those LED strips I'd installed for our future morning routines with kids who'd never exist. First move, I needed professional help. Not therapy, evidence. My friend Dimitri had gone through a brutal divorce last year. His ex had hidden assets across 3 states. He'd mentioned his private investigator, said the guy was expensive but surgical. Found things lawyers couldn't touch. I texted Dimitri, need that Pi's number. Discreet situation. Reply came at 6 a.m. Sorry brother. Calling him now to give him your info. By noon, I was sitting across from Wallace Reeves in a strip mall office that shared a wall with a dry cleaner. Ex-cop, 15 years in financial crimes before going private. Looked like someone's grandfather until you noticed how his eyes cataloged everything. Infidelity case? He asked before I'd even sat down. How'd you know? You're wearing a wedding ring tan line but no ring. You look like you haven't slept. And you texted Dimitri at 3:47 a.m. He opened a notebook. What do you need? Everything. Timeline, finances, communications. Whatever you can legally get. Legal's a flexible word, Wallace said. But I stay within boundaries that hold up in court. 5,000 retainer. Another 5 if this gets complicated. I wrote the check from my personal account. Not our joint one. 2 weeks. That's all Wallace needed. The dossier he handed me was 60 pages. Annotated. Indexed. Cross-referenced. Every Instagram post, deleted text recovered from cloud backups, credit card charge, and GPS coordinate. The affair started in July. First just coffee after their photo sessions. Then lunches. By August, they were meeting at hotels twice a week. She'd charged the rooms to a credit card I didn't know existed, opened in her name alone. The statements went to her conservatory office. But here's where it got interesting. She'd been paying Bryce. Not for photography, the conservatory covered that. Personal transfers. $500 here, $750 there. Almost $8,000 total. His Venmo was public because of course it was. For supplies, herb emoji, she'd write. New lens fund, camera emoji. The deleted texts were worse than the money. Kai's at a conference this weekend. Come over. Your roommate seems controlling. When are you moving out? Just your roommate, right? Nothing more? Roommate. That's what she'd reduced me to. The man planning to propose with her grandmother's ring was just a roommate. Wallace had screenshots of everything. Her telling Bryce I was jealous and possessive. That she was looking for her own place. That she'd only moved in with me because rent was expensive. There's more, Wallace said, sliding another folder across. Your joint savings. $11,000. Transferred out in small increments over 4 months. Not to her personal account, that would have been too obvious. To an investment account she'd opened. The paperwork listed her sister Delia as the co-owner. The sister's been helping, Wallace explained. Creating alibis. Those girls' nights? Check these timestamps. Photos from Delia's Instagram stories. Wine night with my girl. Meanwhile, Emma's phone GPS showed her at the Starlight Motor Lodge. 14 times. Want me to keep digging? Wallace asked. No. This is enough. But I wasn't done. I drove to the conservatory and parked where I could see the loading dock. Waited until I saw Bryce's Subaru pull up for what their shared calendar called a specimen photography session. I went home and opened Emma's laptop. Her password was still Monstera 2021, her favorite plant. Her email to her supervisor was right there in drafts. I'm thrilled to accept the senior illustrator position. The exhibition opening will be the perfect venue to announce this promotion. My family is already planning to attend on the 15th. November 15th. Her promotion party. Her entire family would be there. The conservatory board. Her colleagues. Everyone who thought she was this dedicated, talented professional. I forwarded the email to myself and started making my own plans. Then I saw the last email in her sent folder. To Bryce, yesterday. Can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. After my promotion, I'm telling Kai everything. He deserves to know I'm leaving. She was planning to blindside me at her moment of triumph. I smiled for the first time in 2 weeks. November 15th came fast. I played my part perfectly for 2 weeks. Made her breakfast. Asked about work. Even bought flowers just because. Watched her face flicker with guilt before she kissed me and said I was sweet. The promotion party was at Verdant, her family's upscale restaurant where they grow half the menu on the roof. Private dining room, exposed brick, Edison bulbs, the whole sustainable chic aesthetic. Emma had been buzzing about it all week, trying on different dresses, practicing her speech. You'll be there, right? She asked that morning, applying mascara in our bathroom mirror. Wouldn't miss it, I said, adjusting my tie. The nice one she'd bought me last Christmas. I'd prepared everything. My friend Ronnie managed IT for Verdant. We'd gone to engineering school together. He owed me for helping him design the solar array for his house. One favor, that's all I needed. USB goes where? He'd asked when I explained. The AV system in the private room. When I text you, swap the presentation file. What's on it? The truth. I arrived at Verdun at 7:15, 15 minutes after the party started. Emma was holding court near the living wall installation, champagne in hand, surrounded by conservatory board members. She lit up when she saw me. "Everyone, this is Kai," she said, sliding her arm through mine. "My partner." Not roommate. Partner. The performance of her life. I shook hands, made small talk about sustainable energy, charmed her mother with questions about the restaurant's hydroponic system. Emma's father clapped me on the back, said something about being glad Emma found one of the good ones. The conservatory director, Mrs. Hawthorne, clinked her glass at 7:45. "If everyone could take their seats, we have a special presentation." 40 people settled around the long farm table. Emma at the head, me to her right, her parents beside us. The projection screen descended from the ceiling. "Before we celebrate Emma's promotion to senior illustrator," Mrs. Hawthorne began, "let's showcase the incredible work she's been doing." The first slides were Emma's botanical illustrations. Gorgeous work, honestly. Native wildflowers, endangered ferns, detailed cross-sections of seed pods. The room murmured appreciation. Emma squeezed my hand under the table. "Next, we'll see Emma's collaboration with our photographer Bryce Hoffman." I sent the text to Ronnie. The screen flickered. Instead of botanical photography, the first image was a timestamp screenshot. Emma entering room 237 at the Starlight Motor Lodge. Date. Time. GPS coordinates. The room went silent. Next slide, credit card statement. Starlight Motor Lodge. $67.99. Paid with her hidden card. Next, text message. "Tell Kai you're at the conservatory. I'll get the room." Emma's hand went rigid in mine. Someone gasped, her mother, I think. The slides kept coming. Venmo transfers to Bryce. The deleted texts calling me her controlling roommate. The investment account with money stolen from our wedding fund. Each image displayed for exactly 5 seconds. Enough time to read. To understand. "What is this?" Mrs. Hawthorne stammered, fumbling with the remote. But the presentation wouldn't stop. Ronnie had locked the system. The final slide was the email. "After my promotion, I'm telling Kai everything. He deserves to know I'm leaving." Then a black screen with white text, "He knows." The lights came back up. Emma's face had gone from confused to horrified to absolutely white. Her father was standing, fists clenched. Her mother had covered her mouth. The conservatory board members were looking between Emma and Mrs. Hawthorne like they were watching a tennis match in hell. I stood up, straightened my tie. "Congratulations on your promotion, Emma." I set my champagne glass down gently. Didn't make a scene. Didn't slam anything. Just walked toward the door with 40 pairs of eyes on my back. "Kai," Emma's voice cracked. "Kai, wait, I can." I stopped at the door, turned halfway. "Your grandma's ring is in the kitchen drawer. Figured you'd want that back." Her face crumbled. She understood then, I'd been planning to propose. The room seemed to contract around her. I walked out into the November cold. Got in my car. Drove 3 blocks before pulling over to breathe. My phone exploded. Calls, texts, all from Emma. I blocked her number. Then my phone buzzed with a different notification. Email from Mrs. Hawthorne. "Mr. Sonny, we need to discuss Ms. Morrison's future with the conservatory immediately. Please respond at your earliest convenience." I didn't respond to Mrs. Hawthorne immediately. Let them stew in it overnight. I had more immediate issues to handle. By the time I got home, Emma had already called 17 times from her parents' phones, Delia's phone, even the restaurant's landline. The doorbell started ringing at 11 p.m. I watched through the security camera as she stood on our porch, makeup destroyed, still in that promotion dress. "Kai, please. Let me explain. It's not what it looked like." Not what it looked like? It was exactly what it looked like. I turned off the porch light and went upstairs. She stayed there until 2 a.m. The next morning, I replied to Mrs. Hawthorne, "I have documentation regarding misappropriation of conservatory funds. Happy to discuss." Her response was instant, "Can you meet today?" The conservatory's conference room smelled like potting soil and disappointment. Mrs. Hawthorne, 2 board members, and their legal counsel sat across from me. I slid Wallace's dossier across the table, keeping a copy for myself. "Page 18, I said. "She billed Bryce's personal payments as botanical photography supplies to the conservatory. Got reimbursed for $8,000 that went straight to her boyfriend. The lawyer's face went pale. Mrs. Hawthorne looked like she'd aged 5 years overnight. "We'll need time to review this," she said. "Take all the time you need. I've already filed reports with the state's nonprofit oversight board." That afternoon, Emma was suspended pending investigation. Bryce's contract was terminated immediately. The texts started coming from app numbers, emails to my work address, even a handwritten letter shoved under my windshield wiper. All variations of the same theme. It meant nothing. "I choose you. We can work through this." Then came the video. 20 minutes of Emma, sitting in her car, sobbing through a confession. Admitting to everything. Saying Bryce pursued her, that she was confused, that she'd been planning to end it. Lies layered on lies, but delivered with such conviction she probably believed them herself. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Yes, I'd hired one. Day 3 after the party, she showed up at 6 a.m. Not ringing the doorbell this time, just sitting on the porch steps when I went out for my run. She looked rough. Hair unwashed, wearing sweatpants and one of my old Wind Farm Project t-shirts she must have taken. 5 minutes, she said. Please. 5 minutes and I'll never bother you again. No. I threw away everything for nothing. He meant nothing, Kai. You have to believe. I don't have to do anything. I stepped around her. Except run my usual route. When I came back, she was gone. But she'd left a box. Every photo of us, every ticket stub, every little memento from 3 years. Like returning these memories would somehow reset things. I put the box straight in recycling. That evening, Wallace called. Your ex is getting desperate. She hired her own investigator to dig into you. Let her dig. I've got nothing. That's not the interesting part. She's also been calling Bryce nonstop. He's blocked her too. Apparently, his actual girlfriend found out. Oh right. Bryce had a girlfriend. A ceramics artist named Astrid who'd been living with him for 2 years. Emma was the side piece to a side piece. Day 5, I got the official letter. The conservatory had terminated Emma for financial misconduct and breach of professional ethics. They were pursuing criminal charges for fraud. Her career in botanical illustration was over, no institution would touch her now. The joint account was frozen pending my lawsuit. The investment account she'd opened with Delia was being investigated. Her sister was having her own crisis, apparently. Her husband hadn't known she was helping Emma hide an affair. Emma's world was collapsing in real time, and I watched it all from a distance. Her LinkedIn disappeared. Her Instagram went private. The conservatory scrubbed her from their website like she'd never existed. Then, a week after the party, she played her last card. A process server showed up at my office. Emma was contesting the financial claims, saying the money transfers were gifts between partners. Her lawyer was also threatening a defamation suit for malicious disclosure of private information. She wanted to fight. I looked at the papers, then at my phone where another message waited from Mrs. Hawthorne. The criminal fraud charges have been filed. You'll be called as a witness. Emma had no idea what was coming. The legal proceedings were swift. Emma's lawyer dropped her case the moment he saw the evidence Wallace had compiled. Hard to claim defamation when every single thing I'd shown was documented fact. Harder still to claim those transfers were gifts when the forensic accountant found she'd falsified reimbursement forms. The judge's ruling came down in February. Emma owed me $47,000, the stolen savings plus damages. The criminal fraud charges from the conservatory would be handled separately, but my testimony had been detailed. Thorough. Devastating. She had 30 days to pay. She didn't have it. I knew because I'd been tracking her decline through mutual acquaintances. After the conservatory firing, no botanical institution would touch her. Her references were poison. She'd applied to 23 positions according to her former colleague who'd reached out to warn me she was spiraling. By March, she was working at Garden Grove, a retail nursery off Route 9. Selling fertilizer to weekend gardeners. Her botanical illustration career reduced to explaining the difference between potting soil brands. 6 months after the party, I was at a coffee shop reviewing turbine specifications for a new offshore project. The bell chimed, and there she was. Emma. Wearing a Garden Grove polo shirt, dark circles under her eyes, looking like she'd aged years and months. She saw me before I could leave. Walked over slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Can I sit? I should have left. But something made me gesture to the empty chair. You look good, she said. Different. Defeated. The new project? Yeah. Offshore expansion. She stared at her hands. I destroyed everything. You did. Bryce disappeared the moment things got hard. Blocked me everywhere. His girlfriend kicked him out, and he blamed me for ruining his life. Not my problem. I know. She looked up. I know what I did was unforgivable. The money, the lies, all of it. But Kai, we had something real once. Before I destroyed it. Couldn't we? I'm engaged. The words hung there. Her face did that thing where it tried to hold several emotions at once. I pulled out my phone, showed her the photo. Me and Astrid at the wind farm ribbon cutting last month. The ring on her finger wasn't huge, but it was perfect. She was perfect. Project manager for renewable initiatives, understood my work, understood integrity. Astrid Lindquist, Emma whispered. Bryce's ex. Small world. How long? Started dating her 3 weeks after your party. Engaged last month. Emma's eyes welled up. You moved on so fast. I moved on the night I saw you at that motel. Everything after was just paperwork. She pulled out a crumpled envelope. The first payment. $3,000. It's all I could save working retail. Send it to my lawyer. Kai, please. I'm begging you. I made one mistake. One? Try 4 months of mistakes. Calculated lies. Stealing our future to fund your affair. I loved you. No. You loved having someone stable while you played around. You loved the security I provided while you took risks with someone else. She broke then. Not dramatic, just quiet tears falling onto the cafe table. What am I supposed to do now? Learn. Grow. Be better for the next person. I stood up. But that person isn't me. I walked to the door, then turned back. The wedding's in October. Don't expect an invitation. 2 weeks later, an envelope arrived. Our wedding invitation. Astrid had insisted on sending it to everyone, even Emma. A kind of closure, she said. A clear message that life moves forward. Emma sent one final text from another app number. I'll spend my life regretting this. I didn't respond. Married Astrid in October at the wind farm where we'd had our first real conversation about trust, about building something sustainable. Emma's conservatory book sat in a box of donation items in our garage. Last I heard, she was still at Garden Grove. Still paying me back in monthly installments. Still alone. Some people think revenge needs to be loud. Explosive. But the best revenge is silent success. It's building the life you deserve while they watch theirs crumble from their own choices. Some people water dead plants hoping they'll grow back. I learned to plant new seeds instead. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.